So we're standing here inside of the Woody Hayes Athletic Center after talking with Ryan Day after they found out they will be playing Tennessee in the first round of the college football playoff. That's about 8 days after their last game, 13-10, a 4th straight loss to Michigan. And they'll play it here. They'll play in Ohio Stadium again in about 12 days when they play Tennessee. I'm Steven, that's Andrew, and that's Stefan. Stefan, Ryan was getting asked a million different questions about a million different subjects, as head coaches often do. But one of the key ones was, how do you get your team to move on from the gruesome emotional loss that a 4th straight loss to Michigan can be and get ready to move forward? What did Ryan Day have to say? And do you think that this team, by the time they get on the field on December 21st, will be emotionally removed far enough from that game that they can move forward and accomplish the only one of their 3 goals they can get this year?
Yeah, I think they can get there, and I think a big reason is what Ryan Day said. He said when that bracket came out, when they saw the next opponent is Tennessee, and they kind of had a feeling that's what it was going to be based on last week's rankings, but now you know for sure. He said they have a target. Now the focus has shifted. And I think that's a big thing, right? Because you go into watching film on Tennessee now. You go into game planning, your offense and your defense against Tennessee. Everything you're doing now is looking at Tennessee, preparing for Tennessee. There's no more watching a film from Michigan being, oh, we should have done this better. We should have done that better. Like, that's gone. You could point to that game and be like, hey, like, we're going to run this against Tennessee. When we ran that same play against Michigan, here's what went wrong. If you execute better, it's going to work. Yes, that's all in play. You're doing that with all 12 games worth of film that you have. But everything you're doing now is no longer, why didn't we do better in the Michigan game? It's, how can we do that better in the Tennessee game? What can we do against Tennessee to be better? So the mentality completely shifts, and I think that's how you help this team move forward and go on to that next goal. Because you look at that bracket, man, and you're looking at it, you're saying you got chances to play on national TV against Tennessee, against Oregon, whatever teams are down the road. This is a chance to exercise a lot of what went wrong, particularly in that Michigan game. But even we could just say this regular season as a whole. I mean, no one thought this was a 10-2 team. We were all thinking 11-1 at worst. They're a 10-2 team now. You have a chance to, really change the narrative that's around this team and this program right now. And it all starts with focusing on Tennessee, which I think is a good thing for this team right now.
Andrew, from the way Ryan Day was talking, do you think this team's ready to move on? And, I mean, this is going to be a bit of a gauntlet, right? They win this game, they're going to get a chance to play Oregon. This is the tougher side of the bracket. This is the Western Conference in the NBA. This is the AFC of the NFL. Do you think Ohio State is emotionally ready to move on from that game?
I think emotionally and mentally they're ready. I think the thing that you just mentioned, I think, is important, that Ohio State or Tennessee, whoever wins that first-round game, if they want to win a national championship, one of those 2 teams, like, if they win, would have the toughest path possible of any team in the college football playoff. Because if you win that game, you know what your reward is? You get to play the only undefeated team in the bracket, and you get to play Oregon. So not only do you have, hey, let's put Michigan past us. Hey, let's get past this. Hey, let's look beyond that. It's over. We don't have to talk about it anymore. You get the chance to say, if we beat Tennessee at home, we get our chance at get back against Oregon. And that, I think, is really helpful as well, because on the field, you said it, it's the toughest side of the bracket. And frankly, I think if Ohio State beats Tennessee and they would have to beat Oregon, and then they would probably have to beat Texas, and then you're talking about somebody on the other side of the bracket, maybe Georgia, maybe Notre Dame, maybe Penn State, whoever it is, that's the toughest path that you could possibly go to the national championship. So on the field, very, very difficult. But mentally, I do think that allows you to reset, because imagine right now if we were talking about, hey, Ohio State's going to play Arizona State, or Ohio State's going to play SMU. You wonder if the juice would be there in the stadium. You wonder if the juice would be there with the team. You're going to get up for the Mustangs. And all due respect to the Mustangs, they had a great season. They deserve to be in the playoff. You really getting up for that? I don't know. So I think the Tennessee matchup, I think that really allows you to say, okay, wow, this is a big-time matchup. This is a big-time game. Mentally, it allows you to move on. On the field, different story. But mentally, I think you can look past Michigan and say, let's burn it. We don't ever have to talk about it again. We don't ever have to deal with this again. We've talked about the mentality of that game, the mentality of the Michigan game, of why did they run the ball so much? Why did they kind of slam their head into a brick wall for 60 minutes when they didn't need to? You're done with that. And I think that now that there is a set target on the board, there's a T on the board, you can do that.
So I'm staring at 2 banners behind our camera here. They're both Sugar Bowl, by the way, which is, maybe that just brings it out of them. One is a 2015 42-35 win over Alabama, and the other one is a 49-28 win over Clemson. The Alabama one was in 2015 as part of the 2014 season. The Clemson one was in 2021 as part of the 2020 season. Those 2 things have something in common.
Sugar Bowl.
Yeah, they're in New Orleans. But the thing they have in common for Ohio State was in both of those games, they were mountains that this team was trying to conquer, right? In 2014, they get into the playoff, even though they're starting a third-string starting quarterback after losing to Virginia Tech earlier in the season, and they needed a win over Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship game to cement themselves in. And everybody was talking about that the same way that, Andrew, you're talking about this Tennessee game. In this playoff path right now, it's like, man, they're in, but this is the harder path. They got to play Bama at peak Nick Saban, and then they got to play a Heisman Trophy winner after that, right? And Marcus Mariota. And so there's this element of, when they beat Alabama, can they emotionally reset and get ready to go back at it again against Oregon? And they were ready to do that, and they ended up winning a national championship. In 2021, that entire 2020 season was about getting back on the field with Clemson because of what had happened in the Fiesta Bowl the year before that. And they did that. They won that game by 21 points. And then it's like, okay, can you reset and go do it again in the national championship game? Now, COVID, your collarbone of your running back fall, a lot of things got in the way. So that game was never just meant to be anything more than that. But it's just, that's what you're talking about.
Yes, exactly.
How many times can you reset? Because now it's multiple layers in that. The combat to that is we've seen them do that with this type of storyline where it's like, it makes zero sense for them to be able to do this. And I'm not saying that they aren't going to do this, but it's just, at least we've seen the blueprint before. One of those games was with Urban Meyer as head coach. The other one was with Ryan Day as the head coach. There is that Easter egg of, we can get back on the field with one of our two losses on a neutral field, and let's see what happens, right? Now, we got to get through this first. We can redeem ourselves and send these seniors out the right way of Ohio Stadium instead of you be remembering a 13-10 loss to Michigan. This can be the last game that people remember about these seniors in Ohio Stadium, and then continue to build on it. But that's what we're talking about here. Emotional, I don't even know what the word is. Can you just wherewithal? Emotional wherewithal. Ryan Day says this a lot, that execution dictates emotion. I think it should be the other way around in the playoff. I think your emotions got to dictate your execution a little bit, but in a good way. Harness it the right way and just be angry. Be angry, Ryan Day. I'm a little angry sometimes. Andrew's a little angry sometimes. Stefan's a little angry sometimes. And if you channel it right, good things happen. If you don't, you lose to Michigan 4 times in a row. Get the text 614-350-3315. 2-week free trial, $3.99 after that. And we'll continue to have this conversation on Buckeye Talk. So go listen to that wherever you find podcasts. Angry Andrew, angry Stefan, more angry Steven. See ya.